Growing up, I always knew my place in the family, second to my younger brother, Ryan. He was the golden child, the one my parents adored, while I was the afterthought, the one who had to fight for every scrap of attention. If Ryan wanted something, he got it. If I wanted something, I had to earn it. Birthdays? Ryan's were extravagant, huge cakes, expensive gifts, the works. Mine. A grocery store cake and a rushed happy birthday, before my parents turned their attention back to whatever Ryan wanted that day. College? They threw thousands into his tuition, made sure he had everything he needed, while I worked part-time jobs and took out loans just to scrape by. Still, I never made a fuss. I swallowed my pride, played the role of the understanding older sibling, and accepted that in my parents' eyes, Ryan always came first. But this time I was done. It all started when my parents planned a family vacation to New York City. The whole trip was centered around Ryan. His favorite restaurants, his preferred activities, even the hotel choice was made to fit his high standards. I wasn't even consulted. Honestly, I wouldn't have gone if I hadn't overheard a late-night conversation between my parents. "We don't have enough to book the suite," my mom had whispered. "Then we'll just put him on the couch," my dad replied without hesitation. "Ryan needs a proper bed." That was it. That was the moment something snapped inside me. They didn't even say my name. Just him, like I was some random inconvenience, an extra body they had to account for. But here's the thing, I wasn't a helpless kid anymore. I had a great job, a steady income, and for the first time in my life, the power to change the narrative. So I did. Because if they thought I was going to sleep on a couch like an unwanted guest, they were about to get the shock of their lives. The day of the trip arrived, and my parents were excited as hell. Ryan was grinning like a king about to be pampered, and my parents were fussing over him, making sure everything was perfect for him. When we got to the hotel, it was exactly the kind of luxury place Ryan would demand. A stunning 5-star spot in the heart of Manhattan, with sleek marble floors, chandeliers, and concierge staff that looked like they catered to millionaires. The kind of place my parents would never have spent money on for me. We walked up to the check-in desk and my mom smiled at the receptionist. "We have a reservation under Taylor." The receptionist typed on her computer, her brows furrowing slightly. "I'm sorry, but I don't see a reservation under that name." My mom's smile froze. "That's impossible. I booked the executive suite weeks ago." The receptionist shook her head, completely unfazed. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but there's no reservation under Taylor." And that's when I stepped forward. I pulled out my phone, flashed my confirmation email, and with the biggest smirk I said, "Yeah, that's because I made the reservation." The shift in the room was instant. My parents turned to stare at me, completely blindsided. Ryan's grin slipped, replaced by a look of confusion and then suspicion. My dad's voice was tight. "What do you mean you made the reservation?" I tilted my phone so they could see the booking confirmation. "I mean, after I overheard you guys deciding that I was going to be sleeping on the couch like some unwanted guest, I figured I'd handle the booking myself." A beat of silence. Then the receptionist, who was clearly enjoying this, smiled and said, "Ah, yes. We do have a reservation under your name, sir. And you're in the penthouse suite." Boom. My mother's jaw hit the floor. My dad blinked like I had just spoken in an alien language. "And Ryan?" Oh, he looked ready to explode. "The penthouse," my mom stammered. "That's impossible." I shrugged, completely unbothered. Turns out I actually make good money, so I figured if I was going on this trip, I might as well be comfortable. And just to twist the knife deeper, the receptionist continued reading off the details. The penthouse suite comes with a master bedroom, a secondary bedroom, a full living area, and a private terrace with a view of Central Park. Ryan's entitlement was cracking. I could see it in his clenched jaw, his fists tightening at his sides. "No way. You're joking." I just crossed my arms. "Nope. And since I booked the room, I get the master. You guys can figure out where you want to sleep." My dad tried to take control of the situation. "Well, obviously Ryan should get the master." I let out the coldest laugh. "Oh, that's cute." "No, I don't think so." My mom, still in denial, spoke up. "Well, we'll just put an extra bed in the master and Ryan can—" I actually laughed out loud. Yeah, that's not happening. You guys can take the secondary bedroom and pull out the couch if you want. But the king-sized master? That's all mine. And just like that, for the first time in my life, I had all the power. The tension in the hotel lobby was so thick you could cut it with a knife. My parents were still struggling to process the fact that I had completely outmaneuvered them, while Ryan looked like he was about to throw a full-blown tantrum. For the first time in my life, I had flipped the script, and they had no idea how to handle it. You can't be serious, Ryan finally blurted out, his face turning red. I smirked. Oh, I'm very serious. I crossed my arms, watching the realization dawn on his face. He wasn't getting the royal treatment this time. You don't even care about this stuff, my dad said, trying to keep his voice level. Why are you making such a big deal out of it? I let out a short laugh. Oh, that's rich. You mean the way you guys never make a big deal out of Ryan getting whatever he wants? The way you didn't even hesitate to dump me on a couch just so he could have a proper bed? Yeah, I wonder why I'm making a big deal out of it now. Silence. My mom sighed dramatically, pressing a hand to her temple. Like this was causing her a massive headache. Sweetheart, you know Ryan has trouble sleeping in small beds, she said in her best concerned mother voice. You don't want your brother to wake up with back pain, do you? I almost laughed. The audacity. Oh, that sounds awful, I said with mock sympathy. Maybe he should sleep on the couch then. Ryan's face twisted in pure disbelief. I'm not sleeping on a couch. Not my problem, I shot back. My dad exhaled sharply, rubbing his temples like this was some impossible situation that I was causing. We're a family, he tried again. We should be staying together. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, now we're a family? Funny, I don't remember you guys worrying about that when you decided I should be the one sleeping on a couch. Ryan scoffed. Dude, you're acting like a child. I tilted my head. That's funny coming from the guy throwing a fit over a bed. At this point, it was hitting them. They were losing control of the situation. My dad let out a frustrated sigh and started dragging their luggage toward the smaller room. My mom followed, still muttering about how I was being unreasonable. Ryan stood there for a second, his fists clenched, trying to figure out if there was still a way to win. This is so petty, he muttered under his breath. I smirked, taking out my keycard and swiping it over the penthouse door. Oh, you have no idea how petty I can be. Then, without another word, I shut the door in his face. That night, I did something I had never done before. I enjoyed myself. I sprawled across the king-size bed, stretching out in every direction just because I could. I took a long hot shower in a bathroom that was bigger than my parents' entire room, threw on a luxurious robe, and ordered the most expensive meal on the menu. Filet mignon, a bottle of wine, a rich chocolate dessert. And then I took it all to the private terrace overlooking Central Park, sipping my drink while the city lights twinkled below me. Somewhere down the hall, my parents and Ryan were sulking in a much smaller room, probably arguing about whose fault this was. I knew this wasn't over. They weren't the type to let something like this go. But that was fine because for the first time in my life, I had the upper hand. I woke up feeling like a king. The bed was perfect, the city skyline outside my window was breathtaking, and most importantly, I had won. No groggy, uncomfortable morning from sleeping on a couch. No resentment bubbling in my chest because I was forced to be the afterthought. For once, I put myself first. Then I checked my phone. Missed calls. Texts. All from my mother. Mom, we need to talk. Meet us downstairs for breakfast. I sighed, already knowing where this was going. But hey, I was in a good mood. I had the best sleep of my life, and I figured I'd entertain whatever manipulation attempt they were about to throw at me. So I got dressed, took my sweet time, and strolled downstairs to the hotel restaurant where my parents and Ryan were already seated. Morning, I said casually as I slid into the seat across from them. Sweetheart, my mom said with a forced smile. We feel terrible about last night. Let's just put this behind us and enjoy the trip. The guilt trip. Classic. Sure, I said, sipping my coffee. What's the catch? My dad cleared his throat. Well, we've been thinking. This whole situation could be easily solved if we rebooked a larger suite. One that works for everyone. There it was. You mean one that works for Ryan? I said flatly. Sweetheart, my mom said, still keeping up the sweet act. If we pull our money together, we can all upgrade. I leaned back. How much are you guys putting in? Silence. Then my dad sighed. We were hoping you'd cover it. I nearly spit out my drink. I stared at them, then let out a sharp laugh. You cannot be serious. Ryan shifted uncomfortably. It's not a big deal. You already spent money on the penthouse. Exactly, I said, crossing my arms. My money. My choice. Mom pressed her lips together. We're a family. We should be making decisions together. I scoffed. You mean the way you guys decided I should sleep on the couch without asking me? Yeah, tell me more about making decisions together. Dad sighed again, rubbing his temples like I was the problem here. Why are you being so difficult? I stared at him. Why are you acting like I owe you anything? I turned to Ryan, who looked ready to explode. You've spent your whole life getting everything handed to you. Maybe it's about time you learned what it feels like to come second. Silence. Heavy, awkward, humiliating silence. Ryan pushed his plate away and stood up. Whatever. I'm not doing this. He stormed off like a pissed-off toddler. Mom sighed dramatically, shaking her head. I just don't understand why you're being so selfish. I laughed, actually laughed. Selfish? You raised me to always compromise, to always step aside for Ryan, to always give up what I wanted. Not anymore. Then I stood up, threw my napkin on the table, and walked out. If they wanted a comfortable suite, they could pay for it themselves. As I stepped into the elevator, I had this feeling. This wasn't over. They weren't done yet. But neither was I. I thought that was the end of it. That they'd sulk, complain amongst themselves, and eventually accept that I wasn't bending over for them anymore. But no. I should have known better. That afternoon, I decided to enjoy the city alone. Walked through Central Park, grabbed a coffee at a quiet little cafe, popped into a bookstore just to browse. For the first time in my life, I felt free. No obligations. No one treating me like I was an afterthought. Just me doing whatever the hell I wanted. Then I got the text. Mom, hey sweetheart, we feel terrible about this morning. Can we do a dinner? Or treat? Just to reset things. I stared at the screen, instantly suspicious. I didn't trust it. Not one bit. But a tiny part of me, the part that still wanted to believe they were capable of change, thought maybe this was an olive branch. Against my better judgment, I replied. Sure. Biggest mistake of my life. They picked a high-end steakhouse near the hotel. Private booths, dim lighting, the kind of place where business deals were made over overpriced wine. When I arrived, my parents and Ryan were already seated, dressed like they were attending some formal event. I slid into the booth, eyeing them carefully. Something was off. Hey, I said slowly. So glad you came, Mom said with a forced smile. Dad flagged down the waiter, ordering a bottle of wine. Ryan was quiet, stirring his drink, his expression unreadable. Then halfway through the meal, they made their move. Dad cleared his throat. So, we had a little chat with the hotel. My stomach dropped. Mom gave me a tight smile. Turns out there was a mix-up with your reservation. I set my fork down. What kind of mix-up? Ryan finally spoke. Yeah, apparently the hotel accidentally overbooked the penthouse suite. I narrowed my eyes. That's funny. I didn't get any calls about that. Dad shrugged. Well, they called us. Since we originally planned the trip, they thought they should let us handle the correction. And just like that, I saw the trap. They lied to the hotel. Told them I wasn't supposed to have that room. Probably said it was a mistake, that I booked it by accident. They were trying to steal my reservation. I let out a slow, sharp breath. You manipulated the hotel. Mom reached for my hand, her voice sickly sweet. Sweetheart, this whole thing has gotten out of control. We just want to fix it. Ryan smirked. Yeah, so let's just go back, switch rooms, and be done with it. There it was. They weren't sorry. They never were. They just wanted me back under them. Back in my place. I leaned back, crossing my arms. No. Mom's smile froze. What? I tilted my head. I said no. Dad sighed, rubbing his temples. Why are you making this difficult? Ryan scoffed. Dude, just take the smaller room. It's not a big deal. I laughed. Not a big deal? You three went behind my back, lied to the hotel, tried to steal my reservation, and now you have the nerve to act like I'm the problem? Mom's voice dropped into that manipulative, gentle but firm tone she always used. Honey, it's just what's fair. I stared at her. Fair. The word tasted bitter. I stood up, tossing my napkin on the table. Fair would have been treating me like an equal my whole life. Fair would have been respecting the fact that I booked that damn suite. Fair would be not pulling this sneaky, backstabbing stunt just to get what you want. The restaurant had gone silent. People were staring. Good. Let them. I grabbed my wallet, pulled out some cash, tossed it onto the table. Enjoy your dinner. I'll be at the hotel, in my penthouse. Then I walked out. And this time they couldn't do a damn thing about it. I left that restaurant knowing this wasn't over. My parents? They didn't like losing. They had spent years controlling the narrative, deciding how things went, and making sure Ryan always came first. They wouldn't stop just because I stood up for myself. And I was right. The moment I stepped back into my penthouse suite, my phone lit up with texts. Mom, we need to talk. Now. Dad, this behavior is unacceptable. You're making a scene. Ryan, dude, you're embarrassing yourself. I rolled my eyes and turned off my phone. Not my problem. Then I did something I never got to do growing up. I enjoyed myself. Ordered room service, a full 3-course meal. Poured myself a glass of wine. Stretched out on my king-sized bed. Meanwhile, they were crammed into a tiny room. Miserable. The next morning I woke up refreshed. The sun was rising over Central Park and I had zero stress. I grabbed my phone and checked my notifications. Blocked. Perfect. But then I got a call from the hotel manager. Mr. My last name, I just wanted to follow up regarding the situation with your parents last night. I sat up. What now? They tried to cancel your reservation. I laughed. Oh, they were desperate. They told us you had a sudden emergency and had to leave early. They wanted us to process a full refund and reassign the room to them. I let out a slow, deep breath. Of course they did. I assumed that wasn't true? I grinned. Nope. I'll be here for the rest of my stay. And while we're at it, can you make sure they don't have any access to my reservation? No room changes, no cancellations, nothing. Understood, sir. I'll take care of it. Damn right he would. But now I was done playing defense. If they wanted to play dirty, let's play. I got dressed, grabbed my wallet, and went down to the concierge. Good morning, Mr. My last name, she greeted. I smiled. I need a favor. Can you set up a spa day for me? Full treatment, massage, facial, everything. Oh, and charge it to my parents' room. She hesitated. I'd have to check if... I slid a crisp $100 bill across the counter. Of course, sir. After my fully paid spa treatment, thanks Mom and Dad, I went to the hotel's luxury store. Picked out a designer watch. A ridiculously overpriced leather wallet. A silk tie I didn't even need. All charged to their room. And then, the cherry on top. That evening I called the front desk. Hi. I'd like to order a special romantic dinner set up for my parents in their room. The receptionist brightened. That sounds lovely. We can do candles, champagne, rose petals. I grinned. Perfect. Oh, and can you make it for 2? She hesitated. Only 2. Yes, just 2. Ryan doesn't need to be included. She paused, then giggled. Understood, sir. An hour later I got a text from my mom. Mom, why is there a romantic dinner in our room? Where's Ryan's meal? I sipped my wine, smirking. Me? Oh, sorry. I thought since you always put Ryan first, you'd enjoy some time alone with him. No response. Then, the hotel manager called. Mr. My last name, your parents are at the front desk. They're demanding an explanation for the charges on their room. I grinned. Tell them I hope they enjoy their treats. Oh, and make sure they can't reverse the charges. After all, they told you they were handling my room situation, right? Silence. Then the manager laughed. I'll take care of it, sir. Damn right he would. That night I was sitting on my private terrace, sipping a cocktail, enjoying the Manhattan skyline, completely at peace knowing my parents and Ryan were crammed in their tiny room, probably furious. I should have been relaxed, but then, bam, 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 a furious knock at my door. I already knew who it was. I took my sweet time answering. When I finally opened the door, my parents stood there, livid, with Ryan sulking behind them like a child who had just been denied his favorite toy. Dad's face was red, Mom looked betrayed, and Ryan? He looked ready to throw a tantrum. Dad snapped first. What the hell do you think you're doing? I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. Oh, I'm just treating you guys the way you've treated me my whole life. Mom's voice was sharp. You charged thousands of dollars to our room. I smirked. Oh, don't worry, you're handling it, right? Dad's fists clenched. This is childish. I shrugged. So was lying to the hotel and trying to steal my reservation. So was always putting Ryan first. But hey, now you know what it feels like. Ryan muttered, this is insane. I turned to him, dead serious. You think this is insane? Try being the kid who was always second place. Try watching your brother get handed everything while you're left with nothing. Try hearing your own parents decide you don't even deserve a bed on vacation. Then we can talk about what's insane. Silence. They just stood there, speechless. For the first time ever, they had no comeback. No control. No power over me. And I let them feel that. So I smiled, took a slow step back, and started closing the door. Enjoy your tiny room. Click. Door locked. I stood there for a second, listening to them muttering angrily outside. Then their footsteps faded down the hall. And that was the breaking point. The next morning, I woke up feeling fantastic. I stretched out on my king-sized bed, enjoying the luxury of my suite, knowing my family was crammed into their tiny room, probably fuming. When I checked out, the hotel manager grinned. Your parents looked very unhappy when they left. I smirked. Good. Then I handed him another tip, for making sure my room was never touched. And the best part? I never heard from them again. At least, not directly. A few weeks later, my cousin sent me a screenshot. What? Mom had posted a long, dramatic Facebook rant. Mom's post, it's sad when family turns against you. After everything we've done for him, he treated us like garbage. Some people let money change them. We raised him better than this. I laughed. Well, here we go. Of course, she left out the part where they tried to steal my penthouse. She left out the part where they lied to the hotel. She left out the years of favoritism, of putting Ryan first, of treating me like a second-class child. And the best part? Nobody was on their side. People called them out in the comments. Wait, didn't you literally force him to sleep on a couch? Why are you mad? He paid for his own room. Sounds like you guys were just entitled. LMAO, so you're mad that you got treated how you always treated him? Boo-hoo. She deleted the post. But I screenshotted it first. And saved it. Because every time I wear that designer watch I made them buy me, I smile. Because for the first time ever, I won.